For true fans of the sport, the fact that this fight is in the same week as Terence Crawford against Errol Spence really is a blessing. We've got Inoue Fulton on the Tuesday, Saturday, it's Spence Crawford. The real shame, though, is that latter fight is going to bury this one underneath all the news and the hype. It's a much more known fight. It's got a lot more, of course, narrative behind it, the fact we've wanted them to fight for so long. But this in its own right is a tremendous fight. There's many people who don't bother with boxing below featherweight, which is a shame. Whenever Inoue's a factor, there's a lot of explosive potential. And in the other corner, we have an American who has the cojones. Okay, he's going to be getting his pockets well lined, but he still has the balls to go over to Japan and try and gate crash the party. Now, that may seem like a weird way of putting it, considering this is Inoue's first fight at the weight class. Straight away, he goes for who many of us consider the top dog at 122, Stephen Fulton. That has that confident subtext of, I'm here to take over. But in fairness to Fulton, the fact he's going over to Japan, I like the way he talks, he seems quite grounded, and I like what I see in the ring. He's collected, the feet, the shoulder, everything works in harmony. He's quite economic, he tries to get away there with a sharp little right hand maneuver you. If he can turn this fight into that frustrating game of tag, surely that's his best chance of winning. Now, I've seen some recent images of Inoue. He's looking ripped up, he's looking more muscular. And he said something like, yeah, I feel really good here now. Maybe this is going to be my best weight. Because his build is so modest, I always kind of thought maybe Bantam would be the ceiling for just in terms of maximum firepower. But you never know. He's a very calculated guy, and he knows, he said before, if he keeps going up in weight, he's going to lose some of his speed. The question is, when he gets in there with Fulton, who of course speed is one of his main traits as well, how is it going to work? Is Inoue still going to be the quicker fighter? Probably, and that's the kind of general understanding you have when you have a fighter coming up to a different weight. Speed is going to be one of the smaller man's advantages. Now, Inoue's presence, that thing that Paul Butler spoke about, we're going to see very quickly what kind of presence he has against Stephen Fulton. If he can make him panic, second guess himself, make him think, oh man, this guy is so quick, he's so quick on the draw, and he's powerful. Now I'm not fighting exactly as I wanted to, because I'm a little bit more too concerned now about defense, and I'm not boxing as fluidly as I'd like to. Because when the likes of Manny Pacquiao kept going up through the weights, I don't think it was so much his presence that was making people worry. Of course, you know, that physicality that bears down on you, that ability to position you. It was just more the awkwardness, the volume, and the speed. He had those traits so high, so dialed up to 11, that it was still overwhelming. It wasn't the physicality. And so Inoue may find it a bit more difficult to just walk him down and to see that opponent be compliant with being marched into different spots in the ring. That's less likely to happen with Fulton, who is definitely going to be looking to establish his jab, put some sting on it, stab it to the body, be like, get back, little man. But then we start to realize why Inoue is the favorite, and that is because he is a complete fighter. You do not become, for me, the second best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet by just having power, which is only really the thing that a lot of casuals pick up if they've ever heard of Inoue. Like, oh, he's a powerful little guy. No, he's a super skilled little guy. If Inoue's finding it a little bit difficult to compete with the jab, perhaps it's a little bit too cute, it's a bit too long, then he'll get a bit closer, wear the high guard, and look to aggressive counterpunch. If not, he can get closer still and go to the body. We can't forget, this is boxing's best body puncher, and he can absolutely play a tune on those ribs. And so I generally like what I've seen from Stephen Fulton in the sense that even though you've got not many fights and he's undefeated, it's got that fragrance of, oh, this is a bit of a blown-up record. No, he's shown some substance, particularly in that close fight against Brandon Figueroa. But in that fight, and even in his last one against Daniel Roman, he does get backed up a bit and find himself on the ropes. Even if he fancies himself as kind of clever and he can roll with stuff, you don't want to give Inoue that chance. I am sure they have devised a plan to try and hug ring center. But Inoue's got so many options to open you up, to switch through the gears. I just think he's going to find that moment, capitalize on it, and then we're going to see the legs go. Now, if Inoue hadn't been so destructive at bantamweight, maybe I'd be seeing this one a little bit differently. But we have to go off what we know. We have to kind of extrapolate what we've already seen and assume that even we reduce that TNT a little, it's still going to have an effect just 4 pounds up. And then we throw in all the talent, the skills, the counterpunching, the ability to remain focused when you've got an injury like a fractured orbital bone. There's so much that goes into the Inoue recipe that really does make him a monster. Super efficient, boxing's hitman. That even if he's somehow unable to knock out Fulton, I still think he's going to get the decision. But no, I am going for the stoppage. I'm thinking maybe later rounds. I'm thinking more a body shot here. He's going to get underneath those elbows. But how do we all see this one going? Do we all agree that it definitely deserves more attention? I do think they're both getting a few mil each, which is tremendous to hear. Boxing in Japan is really good. And if Inoue wins this one, historically he matches Kazuto Ioka as being the second Japanese to win titles in 4 separate weight classes.